the goal of today's meeting was to go over the comments that you had from looking at the drawings and also get feedback on the demo project. I know you were looking at that too. Those are ready to go as soon as I get your comments. So let's start with that one. Did you have any comments or notes or changes you wanted to make on those drawings?
Dave?
Not on the demolition, or the deconstruction, what are we calling it?
Demolition and deconstruction.
There you go.
That's exactly right, because there are two parts to it.
The Historical Society would like to go through with the contractors as well. Because you said if we have the sale time, will people go through at that time? On the 27th at 11?
We can do that, yeah.
They'd like
Yeah.
to go through and see if there's stuff they'd like to.
That'd be fine. Do you want to do it before or after?
27th.
Before?
Because I'll need a
At
dedicated
11?
time to talk to the contractor.
Before would probably be good, so that, so things are identified if you're saying, oh yeah, that could go before it goes out to public bid auction.
I think the best approach would be to have anybody there ahead of time so that we get that feedback, so then we can tell the contractor these are things that other people want. And then we'll put that as part of the agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
So like 10 o'clock?
Okay. Was there an interest by anybody to go through? Did you guys hear anything? People want to go look at stuff? Okay, anything right now you know people want?
Well, I think the cupola should maybe stay in the public domain, because it's kind of the iconic symbol of the courthouse, so rather than having it be a lawn ornament in somebody's backyard, I think it would be nicer if the cupola, you know, was at the county grounds out where the engine show is, or, you know, somewhere in the public domain as a, you know, record of the building.
So there's
Or the
two,
fairgrounds or something.
Right,
two things I've
fairgrounds,
heard.
somewhere, I mean, to be determined, but stay somewhere in the public domain. That would be what I would think, because people would, that's kind of the symbol of the courthouse. I mean, that's the thing that people notice.
All right, so what I heard there was that there's no one in particular who wants it, but you think it should be saved by the county.
Or the Historical Society, if they're not interested, the Preservation Association, somewhere, and we preserve it and keep it somewhere in the county, in a public space that people can see it. It's, you know, kind of acknowledging that it existed, and, you know, maybe we get another one of those great, nice signs like we got for David that would tell the story.
All right?
Shouldn't
Something.
be part of a public auction.
That's all, yeah.
Oh, not
That
part of
thing
the
shouldn't be
public-
part of the public
No.
auction.
All right, so right now, have you talked to anybody like the Historical Society who has expressed an interest?
Yes.
You got a fair representation right here.
Okay, so if we set in our demolition documents, this will be preserved and set in a certain spot for future use by the county, that would take care of that issue for you?
Yeah.
This is the first that I
Yeah.
mean,
They just asked.
I
me a
haven't
few
been
minutes ago.
talking to anybody about it, but I would almost think that that might be a way of kind of a compromise and a way of healing if the county themselves removed it and, you know, there was a space for it, and that was something in perpetuity, so that there would be no cost to, I don't know the Historical Society, I don't know anything about it, because I don't belong to I'm a member, but I'm not on their board. And
Well, here's what I heard. Have the demo guy preserve it, bring it down, set it off to the side so that you can use it at a later time, however you see fit. And if we want them to take it to a certain spot, we'll just tell them, when you take it down, put it in a certain spot. So if you could find that spot, I mean, we could put it across the street in the empty lot if you like, for the time being. Well,
I think that would be a nice thing for the people that are really interested in, and there is that Preservation Association, I believe, I'm not a member of that either. But let them talk it over, see where,
yeah.
and I think they should be the ones, because they're the ones that are interested in preservation, and it really belongs to the people, so, you know, I think that would be
We can
a
certainly
real healing measure, maybe.
We can certainly save it. Yeah, that's not a problem.
We could talk more at 10 o'clock on the 27th. Details?
We certainly can. I mean, it'll be kind of a busy time if people want to buy stuff at that time, because we'll be doing that, walking around with them.
Well, just leave that out of the bid, I mean, out of the auction items, I think, no matter what.
Yeah, we can leave that out of the auction, but they'll probably still want to do other things, so now that we're gonna salvage it and save it to a certain spot, we can talk about it anytime,
Okay.
so.
And, I mean, I don't know what's in it, if there's other, I know, I hope you saved that box of, you called it junk, Dave, that you found, you know, cans and stuff when people were building. I mean, that would be a kind of nice thing to have us around at the Historical Society is, because they were kind of like little historical artifacts from the building. And I don't know if there's any other, historical significant artifacts for the county there or not, I don't know. I know Lowell brought out a bunch of little pins that said it was from 1917. You know, they found when they were cleaning it out. There might be other, I'm sure everything's been cleaned out, but if there's other historically, Shannon had a map that, one custodian prior to you, Dave, was just going to throw out in the junk, which is a really old historical map, that, just so that if there's historical artifacts that should maybe remain in, we have a great museum with a place to store things.
I would suggest if there's a way some of those individuals could walk through before the 27th, maybe Dave, you could give them a quick little tour of things and see what's up there, and
What's left?
Probably a lot of that stuff's been
They'll have
picked.
to see it to believe it. We can do
Yeah,
it.
There's not a lot left in there.
it's pretty torn up inside, but I would
Well,
say
but,
get in
or if
there
they're
and-
set aside somewhere, if somebody, took
That's
them.
the other thing, a lot of people going through there, they have to understand the county's not liable if we
Right.
trip and fall or slips and sprains and stuff like that. That's gonna have to be
Give a waiver.
whatever.
I've got a typical waiver that I've used before when we've done this kind of salvage ahead of time. I can send that to you.
And at your own
Please.
risk.
Yeah, normally we've required insurance of $1 million for anybody coming through, which for nonprofits is no big deal. But for individuals, it's kind of a big deal. So if you want me to remove that from the language, I could, as long as it says they've got coverage against all these issues, but don't set a limit on it.
Who's got coverage?
Anybody that walks into the building,
Like
How's
if
it
I
all
went
go?
through and wanted to buy something, and I'm in there, I don't have $1 million coverage.
you would sign the form that says you have coverage that you wouldn't come back on the county if you fell down. But I won't put the limit in there,
Yeah, okay.
okay?
I think so.
Have them sign waivers before they even come.
Well, it helps, but I mean,
Yeah,
Still.
it's still the same old thing, anybody can sue anybody for anything,
I just want everybody to know, there's nails sticking out of the floor and, you could easily trip and
there is that stuff.
It'll be
yes.
cold,
it'll be cold. Well, maybe on the 27th we'll have a heat wave.
that'd be nice.
It would.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the next part. We gave you guys a set of drawings to take a look at and review and have any comments, and we just want the feedback now. If you liked everything you saw and there's no comments, makes for a short meeting. If you've got a lot of things you want to talk about, we'll get them out on the table. And then we're gonna see if we can talk with the sheriff. We got a couple of questions for him on keys or fobs. And then we got a little bit to talk about on MEP, So should I pull out the drawings? You want to start there?
Dave, I mean, that's more of your area.
You want that again? You're done with that one?
Well, probably not.
Is it okay if I take this one for the comments?
You bet. I don't think we did a whole lot, just little tweaks of where the gas lines were and stuff like that. We're gonna locate anyway. We're gonna add in.
Here,
Oh, thanks.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know? It
If I
is.
could have that extended sheet there, that would
Yeah.
Do you need more paper?
Oh, this will
Go
go.
to the ship, that's what it's full.
Yeah, just let me know. I got a whole bag full of stuff. I'm trying to find you a couple pieces of paper.
I don't think he has any background. No,
I don't.
no, he doesn't.
I guess that, just in planning ahead, if we ever need more office space, there will be enough room, capacity in the boxes to add more outlets, add,
I'll make
Whatever.
sure if we're close in the panel that's,
I think there's one right here.
oh yeah, there is. Yeah, I'll make sure that there would be, you know, at least a half a dozen more circuits if we're getting close. Usually, we would make the panel the next size bigger if we're getting that close anyway, but
Okay.
I'll make a note of that.
That was just the only question there.
Well, one thing I will point out, you don't have a lot of extra storage space, so if you start putting offices in, you're gonna have to find some place to put all that stuff. Because that's the area for the voting machines and all the fenced-in areas for the other areas. So, you can certainly do that in the future, I'm just giving you that heads up now that,
I didn't know if it changed, it probably will change the sprinkler system.
if you start putting in
Sprinkler, yeah.
offices.
Well, it wouldn't be as bad, actually.
Sprinkler would be fine, you'd be over designed on the sprinkler, but
Okay.
you'd need to add ventilation air, so I mean, you might have to tap the ductwork and rebalance or something, but it's
Add a heat pump.
reasonably plausible.
But you're looking down the road 10, 15 years, not like
Right,
2
yeah,
years.
Right.
Yep,
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's,
Okay,
It can be done anyway, it's not something
what is high rise?
oh,
He wants a high
a
rise.
WC is a
Water club.
ADA, yeah.
We have the specific types called out on the schedule, and that, since it's
I
for the
think that
veterans,
is a
it is.
19, that's been answered.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'm just looking for red. There we go. All right.
The hitching posts, that might be another thing that needs to be
Those come,
talked about.
those come out on the demolition part,
Mm,
but you want them salvaged, is that?
We're not,
Oh, yeah,
entirely
the city,
sure.
they didn't want them, and,
We'll salvage them anyway, and you can use them what you want.
okay.
I think that would be another thing that might be part of the historical
Yeah, I mean,
record.
we could use that, or we could leave them, but
If they could be left, I'd just leave them.
We do have Amish people that
I
come.
was gonna say, we might
They
have
aren't in
people
the
that
way.
need the hitching posts,
I mean, they're
actually.
Yeah, I mean, that,
I think the driveway gets pretty close to this post. I'm just not sure, I don't think you guys would have moved it or put it on the list here unless you had to have. And maybe that's
Yeah.
not too close.
they're right there. Somebody could clip it easy.
Yeah, the truck, something would happen to it.
Would
If
you like
nothing
us
else,
You want us to move it?
Could we
pull this post
This-
out and move it.
How about over here somewhere? That's provided wells or something, or maybe some down here?
But if we would just
Put
move
it
this
on State
post
Street.
to that side of it, it would be out of the way then.
We can pick it up and take it out and relocate it.
Hitching post.
maybe Joel was right, though, I mean, there is actual parking here,
That out front of the
we
courthouse.
could be using them again for
In the far
That's
corner
what
by the
over
tree.
there.
By the trees. So
wherever, someplace in
Well,
the,
if somebody comes
Horses
across
out
the
front.
tree, they'd be tied up.
South or for the north side.
So
There's
there's parts.
entryways for
If it's shaded, it's already gonna be occupied, right?
It could be moved to somewhere else on the site, I guess.
But like
Could
the
I make a
hospital,
comment?
they have a spot that's just,
I wouldn't think you'd want the hitching post out in front of the courthouse, would you?
that's what they're talking about.
We're
moving
put it in the back of
In
the
the
parking
back.
lot.
Good,
In
good.
the parking lot,
In
Okay,
the back corner by a tree.
because I think those are granite, those, they look like they're
sometimes, some type of
stone,
stone.
yeah.
You wanna add a, oops, sorry. All right,
That's
that
the
one.
generator feed that goes all
That
around.
actually feeds the Sally Port. There's a couple little heaters in the Sally Port, so there's a gas line. It's been
Oh, that's
located.
gas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
I
didn't show
just-
up on our
just-
survey.
And this one doesn't go out to the street, it goes over to the sheriff's meter. And I just marked it a couple places on here, just
All right.
because we don't wanna find it in a bad way.
Uh-huh. All right, we've already talked about keeping that sign, salvaging it to you, so you can put it wherever you want, if it's out, different property.
Yeah, we just bought it a couple of years ago. Well, I say a couple of years, it was probably more like 4 years ago, or 5.
Okay, add.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You mentioned something about changes in the next 10 or 15 years. Were you talking about like wiring changes and things like that? Or what exactly were you talking about? Were you talking about technology changes? So that
Currently,
it
we
would
don't
work?
have any changes planned, it just came up that,
Oh, yeah.
look at maybe providing capabilities in that
Sure.
area for offices.
Yeah,
Which means we would have to add
yeah,
the capability on the HVAC to get fresh air and stuff. And the capability there would be, you'd have a connection that would be tapped right now, or capped, that you could tap in the future.
Yeah, or just a duct in the vicinity that they know.
Yeah.
they could
David made
tap
a
in.
note on an area that's paper storage, that could we use that for
Okay,
office space in the
okay.
future? is
But
what their answer is.
I haven't been to all these meetings or anything, but have you discussed, like 40 or 50 years from now, the technology being changed in order to switch stuff over? I'm sure you've been through that.
Well, if you can tell us.
Or
what
add
we're
more
gonna-
wires or, no, but it could be wireless by then.
It
We've
likely
talked
would be
about-
more wireless than.
But I
wires.
would think that everything should be, probably everything has been thought over as far as that goes.
Well, we did talk with Barb at length about wireless versus not wireless and the capabilities to tie in other buildings, whether it was through IP or web-based, or if it was through wireless. And so
Yeah.
we did kind of cover that for the future, but that would be after,
Okay.
and that's going to be dependent upon what the board or future boards would decide. So-
Well, I was just curious about way down the road.
And there are very few, if any, areas in this building where you can't get above the ceiling and
Oh.
make changes and that kind
Okay.
of thing, so it should be
Sure.
fairly easy, even in 2 years if you had to put in a wireless access point or,
Okay.
reroute a wiring
Sure.
circuit or something.
We also talked at length with, about the courtrooms and the technology they currently have and the fact that they're going to paperless and how that affects the technology up above on the second
Okay.
floor. So, yeah, we've been through
That
that.
answers my question. I'm sure you have been, but I just wanted to,
So there's no wireless going into this system?
Which
We
one?
even had to talk about the magistrate court, because we had to add printers and stuff, because they actually, when they're talking, they print out stuff and have people sign stuff, which we
Yeah,
weren't
so
aware
that-
of.
Mhm. The one tree that wanted to be tagged to cut down to the ground instead of 3 feet, did you tag this one? Did you show me which one it is?
I have no idea which one they want,
All right.
but we can put a big X on it if you'd like.
Well, it has more to do with when your guys
well, are
come
we
in.
taking,
You're taking the
we're
trees
taking
down.
the trees down, so I mean, that's our responsibility to,
Right, but the tree that somebody wants,
yeah.
they can take it down to the ground, but the rest of them, you want the stumps left 3 foot.
Right, it makes it easier to get all the root structure
Right.
out, because we have to get all that out too. So it'll save you
We'll-
money.
We'll find out. We'll put a yellow ribbon around that one.
No, or purple or blue. Okay, same comment. You wanna add a sidewalk? That was what we talked about last week.
We thought there'd probably be parking in the front there
Mm-hmm.
anyway. I mean, between the, that's where Stanley's parked. That way they don't have to cut across the grass.
Would you like to see the crushed brick we talked about?
Oh, that might be a thought.
Oh, you're talking about conservation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only problem again is snow removal in the
Yeah.
wintertime, trying to get that down to,
And then it
you
gets,
you really need a hard surface
yeah.
Okay,
for us. But yeah, the other advantage is you're gonna have people parking, I mean, when you have big days, they're gonna be utilizing the county services
Just
parking lot
match
and
the,
walking across
match the
too.
front. That's kind of what I thought, if we matched the
Sidewalks. over here.
sidewalk.
you want another one over there?
Well, if you park along here, you come up here, you're not gonna get access here, you're gonna have to go around the front. So
Mhm.
we need to make a way around with the sidewalks.
Okay. I'll talk with Terry about that.
Okay.
Blue's my color.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. You guys have fun making these up? It's a lot here.
It's been too much fun, yeah.
Same thing. Oops.
I did throw out an idea here, it was just an idea. Could we have 10-minute spots here in this loop?
Are you meaning meters?
Just to park, for in and out kind of thing?
Well, we've planned that to
Maybe
be
you
a
plan.
drop-off,
Okay,
but we didn't plan on having any sort of meters or timing.
right, okay, that was just a question I had.
And we are putting a curb in here, so
Okay.
that one's done. Any question on 6-inch versus, okay.
And this, that was my idea, to run that right off, to match the south.
We'll probably bring it off up
Okay.
here so that they don't even get up to the door.
Okay.
And it'll actually probably come back a little farther, just so.
The parking lot's gonna all have a curb or not? Are you gonna have for handicap parking, what you're gonna have?
There won't be any
Curbless?
curb here where we have, like this part right here, and of course, that's the drive. So wherever we have the handicap spots, we have our lower part.
Okay, thank you.
Why do we need a curb?
Terry and I talked about that at length, and part of it is to keep people from approaching the building. And I know you may not have that
We
issue
didn't
now.
put the curb in that sidewalk there, and it's much easier for Dave to come with a blade and just right on down. You
And we
got-
had no problems when we removed the curb that we know of.
So you'd rather not
There was
see it?
some folks would park up too far, but it's not a huge
Well, it's
thing.
not like parking in
Mhm.
any of your parking lots, and big box stores, and
Mhm.
if you can't stay between the lines, maybe you shouldn't be driving.
We can't control that. But we can take the curb, and I'll talk.
I mean, it's just a thought, I mean,
I'll ask Terry. That shouldn't change the grades too much.
and then you don't like your handicap, and
Could be
then
anywhere.
everybody.
And then you don't have a trip.
The other side's curb, that's fine, but, I mean, that's my thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did find out that worked a little better for us. You could always put those cement things there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you put the hitching post there.
Yeah, there you go.
You saved all the wing numbers for the mechanical.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Concentrate mostly on that, and I haven't,
This, that's the courts, they can do their own.
Oh, I had a lengthy 2-hour meeting with Scott again, and I got to touch base with Mark on a couple of items. But I think we got a pretty good handle on this one. I think you're gonna like it. Oop, let's get this. Okay.
as long as we're,
Yeah.
be fighting. And I know we brought it up, but, you know, until the roof is there, and we have ice, whatever, it's gonna be hard to tell where we might possibly need some heat tapes.
Oh,
Well, we don't have an extension that would allow for freeze thaw out there. The gutter is right up against the building with insulation right behind it. We'll have ice guards for the little peaky things. There'll be a couple of strips in key areas. We won't need it here, of course, because those are the peaked areas. That's why we put them over the entrances. But we'll have a couple of select ones like back here over the dock, and I think I'll just,
yeah, with a better roof insulation system,
Shouldn't
you
be.
shouldn't have that freeze and thaw. Well, based on how, I mean, Don knows the details more than we do, but with, it's a very well constructed roof and it had, you know,
Okay.
insulation system much, and seal up pretty tight.
And this is all accessible. If we ever had to, we could get conduit in there.
we have one access point at the janitor's closet, because you want it in a secured area. And from the second floor, with everything else being secured in the court area, that one comes off the main lobby by the elevator. So we can get up there, we got a hatch called out.
Can we I mean, is it an attic that we would want to put lights in?
We currently don't have lights.
No, we don't.
Because it's not supposed to be accessible for anybody to go up there and do anything.
Right.
But for future use to get up there after the fact, it's easier to have the hatch than to cut a hole when you want to go up and add conduit. But we currently don't have any light structure up there.
I would think you'd want some
I would.
minimum, I mean, because like you say, if you can at least turn the switch to where you can, that you don't have to have a flashlight in your hand on all
Yeah,
times.
I don't wanna add extra to the project if we don't have to, but, if it's something that Dave, you envision being up there a couple times a year, just to see what's
Really,
going on.
honestly,
or-
you should
Ask them.
go see if it's leaking somewhere, you know, you need to inspect, you know.
So you want someplace to walk then? Because right now we don't have any walkways up there. It's all open trusses,
So-
8 feet apart.
It's a big jump, let's hope that can't.
I mean, if we put a walkway, we have to put handrails, because you're now talking about life safety.
Okay.
It's different if you're having a construction project, but then they provide the temporary rails when they're doing whatever conduit or whatever you might want to add, say in the courtroom area or court
And it's all gypsum, right? And-
on the bottom.
Right, yeah.
What would be up there,
Yeah.
other than just looking at the structure? so
Duct
it's
work
like-
and
sprinklers up
conduits.
there. There's ductwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be something like?
A few walkways in that door aren't gonna cost that much money, is it? I mean,
It's money we don't have now.
no, I mean, how much money is reservation?
You might figure a couple dollars, well, by the time they get it up there and everything, you might look at a couple dollars over 9 foot. So if we made it 3 feet wide and called out that, you know, it's something as simple as a piece of plywood on top of on top of it with a couple of intermediate supports. If you go 100 feet, you may be looking at $1,000.
We have to decide today.
No, but
I'd
give
say
yourself
maybe
a,
then, just for,
I would too.
we had walkways, we're adding lights in there.
and what?
Lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where do you put the walkways?
In the
They'll never
center.
be where you need.
Not where the ducks are, how about that?
Right, I mean, it's kind of hard, well, I guess it's not that hard, but
Well, then, okay,
You
You have
maybe
to
just
walk
use
it
this
over
as
it
a,
and stuff, what can you do?
an addendum or something, you find out where you can put them, and we find out.
Well, we haven't put it on the street yet, so if we can get it incorporated ahead of
Okay.
time, and we're gonna have another meeting ourselves internally on the 21st, so we can go over it. What that means is you'll have to show me an attic plan now where all that stuff is.
I wonder if there is
Yeah.
some kind of a device portable you drag around up there wherever you need it.
Well, how about a video camera that swirls around, just go downstairs and then you don't have to go up there.
You want an intercom and maybe a card swipe?
with a robot and.
And an open hatch door button and on your
We should put a camera up there and be done with it, right?
That's what I was thinking, yeah, the camera up there.
They can change, whatever you say, that's.
Infrared.
And then take, like you say, like, some of the artifacts.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm trying to,
Salt issues. What's that?
The door frames,
Mhm.
I don't know what adds, the buildings we have, the sheriff's, the ice melt is bulging the steel door frames.
Right, we're currently planning on outside doors, that those are aluminum color
Okay.
coded with a 2-coat process. So
Okay.
they should be fine, but I would suggest if you're gonna be putting snow melt and blowing snow, blow it away from the building. And actually, I have to recommend don't use snow melt,
Okay.
because it is just detrimental to concrete and everything. But knowing that you're gonna do it, we've already got the aluminum in there.
Okay.
Where we don't have aluminum is back on the dock area, where we have the overhead